How does a disease kill millions before anyone even understands what it is? The Black Death was one of the most significant pandemics in human history. It spread across Europe in the 14th century and caused massive population loss. Historians estimate that between 1347 and 1351, millions of people died. In some regions, nearly half of the population was affected. Its impact changed European society, economy, and daily life for centuries. To understand it, we need to look at how it started and how it spread. Before the Black Death, Europe was largely agricultural. Most people lived in rural villages, while growing trade connected major cities. Urban areas were crowded and sanitation systems were limited. People had no knowledge of bacteria or viruses. Illness was often explained through religious or environmental beliefs. Trade routes connected Europe to Asia and the Middle East. These trade systems played an important role in the spread of disease later on. The plague is believed to have originated in Central or East Asia. It traveled along trade routes, such as the Silk Road. By the late 1340s, it reached Europe through trading ports. The disease is commonly associated with three forms: bubonic plague, pneumonic plague, septicemic plague. Bubonic plague was the most common form of the disease. It was characterized by the appearance of swollen lymph nodes in the groin, armpits, and neck. The disease was spread by fleas that infested rats and other rodents. Septicemic plague, bubonic plague, was the most common. It caused fever, weakness, and swollen lymph nodes. Mortality rates were very high without treatment. The disease was carried by fleas that lived on rats. Rats traveled on ships, carts, and through cities. When infected fleas bit humans, the bacteria entered the bloodstream. The plague spread quickly through crowded urban areas. Cities such as Florence, Paris, and London were heavily affected. Hospitals and churches struggled to manage the number of sick individuals. Mass burials were sometimes used due to the high number of deaths. Trade and daily economic activity slowed significantly in many regions. Some villages and towns were completely abandoned. The Black Death had long-term social and economic consequences. Religious and cultural perspectives also changed during and after the pandemic. Medical understanding slowly developed in later centuries as a result of repeated outbreaks. The Black Death returned in multiple waves after the initial outbreak. It remained a recurring disease in Europe for centuries. However, its first major outbreak had the most significant demographic impact. Historians consider it one of the major turning points in European history. The Black Death was not only a medical event, it was a major historical event that reshaped Europe. Its effects continued long after the initial outbreak ended. It remains one of the most studied pandemics in history.